Greetings everyone. Welcome to my uMoya Hour live stream. Today I'm going to be talking about ancestors, and my name is John Lockley and I'm a traditionally trained sangoma, African shaman from South Africa. And ancestors are a very, very important part of our traditional practice as sangomas. I'm part of the tradition or the organization in South Africa of Uthando Bayapanzi, which means love of the dead people. So today I want to speak about the importance of honoring our ancestors. Why is it important for us to honor our ancestors? Why is it important for us to remember our bones? And a wise man once said, ask not what your ancestors can do for you, but what you can do for your ancestors. So what does that mean for us? Well, as we connect with our bones, as we connect with our DNA, then we connect with our potential. Just like a tree. As the weather outside becomes more and more stormy and tumultuous, what does the tree do? It connects with its roots. It goes down deep and it pulls up from its roots. Nowadays, the human race is in a crisis. So what do? Connect with our bones and go down deep. As we connect with our bones, as we connect with our essence, so we connect with our potential. So I'm just going to wait a few more minutes and play my drum and do a guided meditation while a few more people join us. Okay, so wherever you are, I welcome you to this live stream. And today we're going to speak about ancestors. Your ancestors, my ancestors, the ancestors of the human race. So the first way to connect with your ancestors is just for you to drop down into your heart and feel your own bones. Ground yourself in the present moment. So closing your eyes wherever you are, just for a few minutes, closing your eyes, placing your hand on your heart. Feel the pulse of your own heartbeat as it moves and vibrates against your own bones. And let me play my drum for a few minutes so that your bones can start to vibrate. In South Africa, we talk about shakamisi igazi, which means shaking the blood. So, siyabedi zigubo, ukushakamisi igazi. We beat the drum to shake the blood. Okay, so here we go. Let's shake the blood together. How about that? And remember what that wise man said. Ask not what your ancestors can do for you, but what you can do for your ancestors. So what does that mean? It means as we sing and dance and drum and remember our dead, as we say the names of our ancestors and send them gratitude, then we are sending them food. We are sending them spiritual sustenance across the river on the other side. And then, maybe, by the grace of life, maybe they will send us a dream and guide us. But the first action of the living, is to honor the dead. So here we go. Let me play my drum. So wherever you are, feel your center, feel your heartbeat, slow down in order to speed up. So we slow down physically in order to ignite the alchemy inside of us, in order to ignite our connection to our ancestors, to our DNA, to our bones and blood inside of us. So here we go. Feel your heartbeat. Take a deep breath in. And send me a few emojis so I can see you out there. A few more emojis, please, so I can feel the presence of the outside world. As you know, live stream is not easy, and it's nice to know that there are people out there. So if you can push that button a few times, then I can play my drum. So I'm just going to wait for you. So push that button, and let's see the emojis. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, I'm a young, yeah. Feel your own connection to your ancestors. In your mind's eye, I invite you to turn to the left in your mind and welcome in your mother's people. Let's not forget your mother's people. Welcome in your mother's people with grace and dignity, because without your mother's people, you wouldn't be here. In your mind's eye, turn to your right and welcome in your father's people with grace and dignity. If the elephants can remember their dead, then so can we. And in your mind's eye, then look up and welcome in the great dreamer. The great spirit, the greater consciousness. And we give thanks for this earth walk. We give thanks for this human road. And we say in a simple way, we ask the ancestors to open the road so that we can see clearly, feel clearly, and walk clearly in this world and the next. When we say in this world and the next, we say in this world and in the spirit world and in the dream time. So the journey in becoming human is a simple journey, but we have to honor this physical, earthly root. And just like a tree honoring its roots, through inviting the sap in from the depths of its roots. We do the same as we honor our ancestors and we welcome them in. So sadly, in the early days in Southern Africa, the missionaries came in and they thought that all these black people didn't know God because all they did was honor their ancestors. And they didn't understand what all this nonsense was about, honoring ancestors, because they came from war in Europe and their job was to convert people to Christianity. So there was a big misunderstanding. So one of the reasons why the people kept mentioning ancestors and ancestors is out of respect for their people who have passed on into the spirit world. And in order to connect to the spirit of life, they have to mention their ancestors first because it's seen as respectful. So I remember a wonderful Catholic priest who was actually a friend of, was an uncle of a friend of mine. And he passed away in Nigeria and he was given the state's funeral. And then my friend went over to Ireland because they were having a memorial service for this wonderful priest. And he noticed that a lot of the priests there in the nursing home were speaking in different African dialects. So all these Irish priests speaking in all these Nigerian dialects. And my friend was being a bit racy in his speech, and he said to one of the old priests who was a friend of his uncle, he said, Father, what was it like bringing the word of God to all those pagans? And he was just joking, he was only playing. And he said, in all my time in Africa, I never found one pagan. I only found them in Europe. He said, I found the depth of spirituality there that I haven't found anywhere else. And I had to understand this whole conversation around ancestor is actually a conversation around honoring the life of a human being. So I thought that was very beautiful, and I think it's something for us to remember that when we mention ancestors in Southern Africa, we are honoring the life force that's been given to us as a human race. And what does it mean for the rest of the world? It means let us not forget our people and where we come from. And when you honor your ancestors, then you can start to feel your place in this macrocosm and microcosm of the human race, of living and this time in this world, living in relationship to the owl, living in relationship to the deer, to the jaguar, to the leopard, to the insects, your relationship to the sparrow outside in the depth of winter. So the journey of connecting to your ancestors is a very, very simple journey. I don't want you to think of it as complicated, and I don't want you to think of it as superstition, and I don't want you to think of it as hocus pocus. If you think like that, then as we struggle with trying to find our way in the world, as we struggle with the pandemic and with illness, I invite you to reach down inside your bones and go back 1,000 years, go back 2,000 years, go back 3,000 years. And if you keep going back, then you're going to go back to one of your ancestors who's running away from a big hairy mammoth. And he's got a club in his hand, and he's holding on to all these bits with the other hand, and he's running like crazy. And he's speaking in a language that we don't know anymore. And this mammoth is coming for him. And he survives by ingenuity, by wit, by strength, and by courage. So when you are struggling, wherever you are on your computer and you're thinking about this pandemic, I want you to think about this big hairy mammoth that's been running after one of your ancestors, and by the grace of wit, your ancestor survived. I was thinking about this yesterday when I was preparing for this live stream. I was thinking, how easy things are nowadays compared to the way they were in the past. How easy. What we had to go through, what our ancestors had to go through, without electricity, without cell phones, just using their intuition and their wit and their courage. So when we're thinking about the tree of life, we are thinking about the rawness of alchemy and of connecting to our bones and the blood and sap inside of us. And when we welcome in our people from the beyond, they come into us because they are already with us. They are already with us right now. They are in your DNA. They are in your bones. They are in your blood. All we have to do is make a gentle invocation and a gentle welcoming of our spirits, of our ancestors into us, asking them to please come and be with us and teach us the grace of living in this modern time. Teach us how to connect with nature the way they did. I'm sure one of our ancestors who's running from the big hairy mammoth, I'm sure he could teach us a few things about listening to the birds and listening to the land. I'm sure he was probably berating himself because he wasn't listening to that bird that was saying, "Hey, there's a big hairy mammoth on its way. Stop playing with your stick. Get up and run like crazy." So let's do another little meditation. And if anyone has any questions, I've got my little trackpad going here, and you can write a little question, simple question, that I can share with everyone. And so just put it in the chat there, and I'll get it. Okay. So taking a moment to think about what I'm saying about ancestors, and let's welcome in all our ancestors together right now. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. It doesn't matter what language you speak. As a human being, we are all related. We say that in the Xhosa language. We are all related because egazini ibomv uThixo omnye. We say we all have red blood. We all have red blood, so we are all related. And there is only one great spirit. So we are all connected. So as we welcome in and honor our bones, as we welcome in our ancestors, and as we start to live with a sense of humility connected to the tree of life, then we start to become human beings, and then the animals walk towards us because they are no longer afraid. So, feeling your spirit, connecting with your heart, connecting with your pulse and your veins, connecting to the depth inside of you. So we have a question where someone says, when you don't know who your ancestors are, then how can you connect with them? So most of us don't know who our ancestors are. But to connect with your ancestors is much more than about knowing the names and the dates. It's much more than that. To connect with your ancestors is, as I'm saying, and listen carefully, because I'm going to say this and I'm going to keep saying this, but I want you to listen very carefully to my words. To connect to your ancestors means feel your heartbeat, listen, concentrate. Feel your heartbeat, concentrate. And then connecting with the blood inside of you. And if you don't know the names of your ancestors, if you're adopted and you don't know the names of your mother and your father, don't worry. Just in your mind's eye, sending through that sense of devotion, welcoming in your mother's people, going back in time to right at the beginning, welcoming all of them in, all those ancestors, and then connecting to your father's people, going right down back in time, going through your blood and bones, because they are right here with you, connected with you. All we have to do is concentrate. And remember the wise man who said, ask not what your ancestors can do for you, but what you can do for your ancestors. Because one of the biggest pitfalls the modern person has on the shamanic road is wanting to connect with their ancestors because they want something back. If you want to connect with your ancestors because you want to dream, because you want psychic power, because you want to know the future, forget about it. That's not the start of any relationship. The start of a relationship is, my name is, and I'll welcome you into my home. Welcome. And that's the way we connect with our bones and our blood and our spirits. If you don't know the names of your people, don't worry. Put your hand on your heart. Feel the pulse. Turn to your left in your mind, welcome in your mother's people. Turn to the right and welcome in your father's people. These are the old teachings from Southern Africa. It's called Ubuntu, Ubunzulu, which means the depth of humanity. And when I spoke to one of my elders many years ago, I was walking in the township and I said to one of my elders, Tata Sugwini, Tata, indi pupa amanyange. I said, I dreamt about the ancestors. Amanyange zifuna mna kuhamba phesheya. I said, the ancestors want me to go overseas. But ndinentloni andifuni kuhamba. I said, but I'm shy. And I don't want to go because it's a big job. And I'm shy and I'm going to miss all of you. I'm going to get too homesick. And he said, wena liqhegu mkhulu, uyomamela amanyange uyahamba phesheya. He said, you are a senior sangoma. You need to listen to your dreams and you must go overseas. And when I explained to him why I needed to go overseas, because the ancestors said to me that the people overseas have lost contact with their own ancestors and they are no longer dreaming. I explained this to him and he was speechless, because for a human being not to honor their ancestors in the traditional world in Southern Africa, there's no words to describe it. When I explained this to my elders in meetings, they were all speechless and they didn't know what to say. For people to not know their ancestors and not dream about them and not to honor them, there's no words to be said. The only thing my elders said to me was, hamba phesheya, fundisa bantu, ukukhumbula izinyanya zabo, hambani. They said, you must go overseas. You must teach the people how to connect to their ancestors. This is very important. This is Ubuntu. So it doesn't matter if you're white or black. It doesn't matter if you have green skin or blue skin. It doesn't matter what language you speak. If you have red blood and bones and you're a human being, then the teachings I'm offering you are relevant. Feel your bones, feel your teeth, feel your wrist. go like this. Feel the pulse in your veins. And together, let's welcome in our ancestors as I beat my drum. And as I'm singing Amanyange, I'm singing to the ancestors and I'm welcoming them in. And if you look at all other cultures, like if you look at the yoga tradition, and you look at the Hindu tradition, they honor their ancestors. If you look at the old Buddhist traditions, they honor their ancestors. All the old traditions do it. In Buddhism, we speak about the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. The Buddha is the enlightened mind, the Dharma are the teachings, and the Sangha are the community, the human community, which is also our ancestors going back in time. So let's sing to our ancestors together, and let me beat my drum, and let's honor that ancestor I mentioned when I had my epiphany yesterday, when I saw that ancestor of mine running away from the big hairy mammoth, and with his big club and holding all these gatherings and all these belongings and screaming like a crazy man. Let me honor him for surviving. Here we go. Yeah, I'm young game. Yeah, I was Alibaba Moo. Yeah, I was Alibamu Bamu. I was Alibamu Bamu. Yeah, I was Alibam. Yeah, I was Alibam. So I'm just checking some of the questions here. And we have a lovely question here from someone who says that they feel resistance when turning towards their patriarchal ancestors. And do I have any suggestions? You know, the history of man and mankind is the history of not just knowledge and beauty, but also violence and destruction. And sometimes people feel a sense of distance from their own ancestors because of trauma in the families and because of sadness and violence within families. So when we are honoring our ancestors, I want to make one point very clear. When we are honoring our ancestors, we are not honoring the behavior of our ancestors, good and bad. We are honoring that shining essence, that kanya, that's been passed on to us. So basically, we say kanya, which means shining in Zulu and Xhosa, but in the Buddha culture, we would say everyone has got Buddha nature. So everyone has got the purity of innocence. And we are honoring that pure essence that's been passed on to us, that human spark. So when you are honoring your ancestors and there is a lot of trauma and there's a lot of difficulty or violence, I want you to imagine your ancestors as a 6-month-old baby with that shining light in their eyes. And that is what you are honoring. You are honoring the pure essence of your humanity that's going into your DNA, that's enabling you to walk straight and talk and engage with the world as a human being. That shining kanya, that shining essence, that's what we are honoring. So I want you to be very aware of that. And then when trauma comes up or when you sense trauma, then a good idea is to call on your ancestors going back in time, maybe before that trauma happened, or where there was good ancestors who behaved with integrity, and you ask them how you can heal the family line. But please, when you're dealing in a spiritual way, you need to learn the language of the spirit. And the language of the spirit does not always speak in isiXhosa or Zulu or English or French or German or Italian or Spanish or Ndebele or Japanese or Mandarin. The language of spirit is in the language of feeling, the language of emotion, the language of color, the language of dreaming, the language of music. So we have to learn the language of spirit. So a good idea is to make an offering. Make an offering. If there's being violence in your family and trauma and you feel affected by it, light a white candle, get some incense and light that incense and put it on your altar, and get a flower, something beautiful, and offer it to the trauma of your family. Because you are a living ancestor. All of us right now are the living ancestors in this moment in time, which means we have a lot of power to heal our ancestral lineage behind us, because we are the living ancestors. And that comes with a responsibility. So what can you do to heal your ancestral line? What can you do to heal the trauma in the past? And a good way is not to go into the blame game. Oh, my ancestors did that. Oh, what terrible people they are. Oh, my ancestors did that. Oh, what terrible people they are. You know, as they say in the Bible, don't judge unless then you will be judged. Don't judge and then you will be judged. So our job is not to judge our ancestors because they have created us, but to be discerning. Light a candle for the trauma and the violence. You don't have to say what your ancestors did was right. Sometimes the things our ancestors did was terrible, actually. Absolutely terrible. But as living ancestors, we need to see that. And we need to make amends. Sometimes we are called on behalf of our ancestors to do reconciliation work, to actually go to a tribe of people, as I have done in South Africa, and say, I am sorry for what my people have done to you. I am sorry. On behalf of my ancestors, I am so sorry. And here is a gift, here is an offering, here I am, to tell you I'm sorry, because I am the next generation. So we don't blame our ancestors because it's gone, it's in the past. We light a candle, and then we listen to the dreams that come. And if we are called on to do reconciliation work on behalf of our ancestors, then we do that with the fullness of our heart. And as we do that, we clear and clean and heal our ancestral line going into the future. Okay, so I'm just going to take a moment and see if there are any other questions from what I've said. And just feel your heart and feel the rhythm of the music that I'm giving, that I'm offering, because that's how we connect to the spirit world, through music. So I'll bring my rattles and my drum, And in this next song, let's call on healing for our ancestors. If there is something that we need to do as the living generation, as the living ancestors, if there is something we can do to heal our ancestors or to heal the mistakes that they have made, let us pray together that our hearts and minds are open, that we are clear, that we can hear clearly, and then we can speak clearly, that we can dream clearly, and then we can walk clearly. So to bring clarity of mind on the spiritual walk, we need to create space in our heart and in our spirit. That's why we need to be methodical with our practice and concentrate. So let's practice together. Let's invite healing for our ancestors. And if we are called to be the messengers and the conduits, let's pray that we are clear enough to bring this healing forth. So there's a lot of questions coming through, so I just want to let you know that I will be doing an Ancestral Webinar next weekend, and you're welcome to sign up for that. It's not an open live stream, it's via Zoom, so it's a closed circle. So if you want to be part of that, you need to sign up for that. So it's on my website, johnlockley.com. And that webinar is going to be part of 3 weekends or 3 months of developing an ancestral practice. And if you have more questions, then I really encourage you to sign up for that. And then I will be speaking more about how to develop an ancestral practice. So what that requires is time and energy and commitment and concentration. So if you want something, you need to put some energy into it. And if you want to connect with your ancestors, then you need to create some space for that. And the first step is, my suggestion is not to want something from your ancestors, but to offer devotion, offer a story, offer a song, offer something lovely, because that's the start of the relationship. That's the biggest obstacle I find with people, like I say, is they want a lot from their ancestors, and then they get cross because they don't get dreams or they don't get inspiration. And I'll say, well, I can see why, because you want a lot from them. Why not just offer a flower, offer a song, and just thank them for the gift of life? Because you're alive right now because of the struggles your ancestors have gone through in the past. So this is important, okay? So I'm going to do one more song, and then I'm going to close the space. And if you want to know more and work more with me, then you're welcome to join me next weekend. Otherwise, join me for the next live stream. So here we go, one more drumming session. Here we go. Yeah, Vazalibamu. Oh, Masiembo, Hembo, oh, Masiembo. Oh, Masiembo, Hembo. Oh, Masiembo. Oh, Masiembo, Hembo, oh, Masiembo. Oh, Masiembo. Oh, Masiembo. Oh, Masiembo. Oh, Masiembo. Oh, Masiembo. Masiembo, embo, masiembo, 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 embo, masiembo, oh masiembo. Masiembo means let us remember. Let us remember the old ways. Let us remember our bones. Let us remember our humanity. So join me while I sing Masiembo. 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 Let us remember. Oh, Masiembo. Masiembo. Embo. Masiembo. Masiembo. Oh, Fudenlela Mnyange. Fudenlela. Fudenlela Mnyange. Fudenlela. Oh, Fudenlela Mnyange. Fudenlela. Fudenlela Mnyange. Fudenlela. So you can get up and you can dance. Wherever you are, get up. Dance. Feel your feet. Feel the drum. Dance. Get up and dance. Yeah, pa 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 pa. Hey, abasali bamu. Dance. Get up. Feel your feet. Dance. Tamagwini amanyangi. Tamagwini amanyangi. Tamagwini amanyangi. Tamagu. Tamagwini amanyangi. So I call on healing for all our ancestors. I call on healing for all those people on the other side who have been forgotten by the living generation. I call on healing for all of us, that we may remember our people who have passed and walked before us, that we may remember their names, that we may remember the bloodlines that have passed on. We sing a song to you, our fathers, our ancestors, our mothers. We sing a song of remembrance, and we say, Siyabulela. We give thanks to you for making us, for sending the seed of life and humanity to us. So give thanks to all of you for listening today and taking part in this live stream. And I give thanks to my friend and colleague, Sean Bonsell from his IT background and his company, and I give thanks for the IT support he's giving. And if you feel moved by these shares, these live streams, then please make a donation. It helps us to produce and air and share these teachings. So thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing you on my next uMoya hour in a few weeks' time. And feel free to like my Facebook and share these live streams, and to click subscribe on the YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Thank you.